Well, good evening. The Who's today in Sydney. We're on at Rosehill. The run to the Rose, and the run to the one of the heats to the run to the Rose, lead up to the run to the Rose. The betting ring was like ghost town, of course. But before we get to that meeting, we had last Sunday, of course, we had a meeting at Gosford. Last Sunday, Gosford, there were four people there. Three bookies on the fence, and stupid me in the outside ring, and one professional, and everyone standing around. No one there. I'll come to the bring the family and have your face painted on Sundays. It's a joke. There was another meeting on last Sunday at Nowra. I spoke to a bookie who worked down there. He said, there were some people out on the front lawn, kids running around. No, isn't it wonderful? No one in the betting room. What's the use of it? Like, who wants to put a race meeting on for the kids to come and run around? But no one's got any money to be. But people work during the week. On the Monday, of course, there was a meeting at Bathurst and also at Grafton. Total attendance, both meetings, 10. No one doing anything. Tuesday, Corowa and Tamworth, no one. Thursday, we had the Newcastle meeting on it Thursday. I worked there. 6 people. There was a meeting on at Wollongbar. Friday, people work during the week, don't they know this? Friday, no one at Wollongbar. Friday, there was Canberra and Dubbo on. No one there. And tomorrow you've got Ballina and Moree. What is the Moree Cup or something? There's a cup every day. There's 365 cups. There's a cup every day in Australia. And today, like all of those meetings, well, besides the Thursday, I suppose, most of all those meetings, as I've said before, they all should be on today. It's a religion for people in Australia to go to the races of a Saturday. They work during the week. We used to go to the puppies, the panlickers. There used to be the dogs and the trot. Harold Park started in 1949, their first night meeting, of course. That was trots after that in the evening. But the horses Wednesday, Thursday, so all these meetings, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday the horses. And of course, when you have a long weekend, public weekend, long weekend, nobody goes now the long weekend, whereas they used to be packed, of course, once. But all of those meetings that are on they should have been on today, spread out through New South Wales. We had a meeting, the only meetings on in New South Wales today, besides, well, there was a meeting in Hawkesbury instead of Kembla or Newcastle. They weren't on today, so we had Hawkesbury on. Not far from Rosehill, Hawkesbury was a half an hour. Berrigan was on, and also Parkes and Armidale. But all those other meetings, Nowra, Bathurst, Grafton, Corowa, Tamworth, Wollongbar, and Canberra on yesterday, Dubbo, they all should have been on today. They should have been on today, spread out, so people can go to the races on a Saturday. Bet on Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane and the locals. Filthy TAB's got it all tied up now, telling all the clubs what to do. Anyway, this meeting at Gosford, as I say, there was nobody there. 3 bookies on the fence. So the fluck, of course, you had to have 2 bookies on the fence with at least the price before the fluck went on the board. And how would you go back at the best fluck? The last race there, the winner was $3.50 out to $5.50. One of the captains on the fence, he liked it. He never went past $4.80. And one of the other captains laid a bet right towards the finish of betting. Someone took the $5.50 off him, and he wound into $4.80. So what's the bet now? All of a sudden it's into $4.80. But the other captain there, you could have had $9,000 to $2,000 off him, and it was started 9 to 2, but returned $4.80. How stupid is it? It's just ridiculous. And the meeting up at Gosford that day, well, there was the rail was in the normal position. The track was good. The first 4 races, there was a southwesterly blowing, and it turned around to a southeasterly, a little bit stronger than it was when it was a southwesterly. And there was no bias on the track. You could lead, or you could run on. There were leaders that won on the fence, and there were runners that came from last. There was one runner that came from last, went around them and won. That was all I'd say at Gosford. Then we went to the farm. We went to the farm on Wednesday, and of course, the usual suspects only, like there were today at Rosehill. Only the usual. There's plenty of people walking back and forth at Rosehill today. At Warwick Farm, there were no walkers through, just the usual suspects there. And the track on Wednesday at Warwick Farm was good. The rail was out 3 metres. There was only a light breeze blowing, and there was no bias on the track. They won leading on the fence, and also there was one runner that was wide in the run, which was a good run, although the second horse, I thought, with a little bit of luck, should have beaten it. The winner was wide. That was the second race. Of course, we saw World Play win, and Define ran second in that race. But both, as it turned out, had plenty on the field. But as I say, you could run on. They won wide. It didn't have cover. World Play, but there were runners that were wide with cover, and also runners that led on the fence and won. So I'd have to say that at Warwick Farm on Wednesday there was no bias. We went to Newcastle on Thursday. No, as I say, no one there. The track was good. The rail was 5.5 metres out at Newcastle. There was a northeasterly breeze blowing. It got a little bit stronger as the day went on, but it didn't have any effect on any of the results. And similar to Warwick Farm, there was no bias. There were runners that led on the fence and won, and runners that came from behind off the fence and also won, and runners that got splits off the pace. But there was no bias. Excuse me. I'm embarrassed to say I'm into this. I'm into Pooties. That's his nickname, Pootie. He sends me down the I'll tell you later. So there was no bias at Newcastle on Thursday either. If you're good enough, you could win. But that wasn't the case today at Rosehill. The fence was dynamite. It was plenty of start if you were on the 18 pence. There was only one winner that wasn't on the fence that won all day, and that was in race 3. We're talking about Prince Cherie. It sat outside the leader. It led Samui Lad, which used to be trained by Gay, but now by Kylie Gavenlock, ridden by Killer Kath O'Hara. It's all got the natural speed and on top of the ground. It showed its customary speed, Samui Lad, and it was taught to lead by I Own the Lead Gay. And the winner, Prince Cherie, sat on its outside, and it was the only winner all day not to be on the fence at some stage of a race to win. The third, I'll come to it in a minute. The third horse was a good run in that race. Anyway, today the track was good. The rail was 6 metres out, so they obviously had something to do with it. There was a westerly breeze, a nice, good, steady westerly breeze blowing all day, more or less. Eased a little bit towards the end of the day. The meeting itself was I'd say that the officials or the people who run this game would be very, very disappointed, because there was, I think the attendance was very well. In the betting ring, of course, it was just fly blown in the betting ring. It drives you mad, you know. You just feel you feel like getting these people and just shake them. So can't you see what's happening here? They don't understand the betting side of this racing game, especially with the bookmakers. And of course, these robots, they've got them planted everywhere inside in the grandstands. betting the members who, like, fancy, you're a member and you've got to take, every time you have a bet, you can get a better price somewhere else out in the marketplace. They must be carved out of stone or wood, whatever they call it, these members. The race clubs, like you're there at Warwick Farm on Wednesday, and there's a captain upstairs. If he lays a good decent bet and he's a bit overloaded with it, he's looking out at the window, and of course he just looks down into the ring. He says, "Oh yes, I can see better than that. The price I just laid." And if he wants to, of course, back it back, he's only got to get there. He doesn't even have to walk downstairs. He comes down the escalators. They sit there. These robots during these meetings, they sit there reading magazines and papers, and just letting the board change by itself. It's like cheating, isn't it? Like you're doing a maths exam. Maths. Well, who took the S off maths? It used to be, when I went to school, it was always maths, but now it's math. They might have taken the S off maths and put it on arithmetic, and arithmetics it might be. Now I'll have to check that up. But it's like you're at school and a kid sitting next to you, and you're doing your maths exam, and the kid sat next to me one day, and he said, "Can I copy?" He said, "I can't add up." I said, "Oh, well, I'm worse than you." He said, "No, you couldn't possibly be." And he said, "No, can I copy yours?" I said, "Well, you have to wait till I finished." I said, "Yeah, all right." And I gave it to him, and I turned it upside down. He got everything right, and I got everyone wrong. But these blokes, it's just like they're cheating. We do all the work, and of course they're just sitting there. We're down there playing the hardest, toughest blokes carved out of granite, and they've all got the fair in front of them, and it's just cutthroat. And we're betting the worst percentages you've ever seen, and they're sitting bludging off our prices. How if it was their business, these people who run the racing, you say, of course, say, "Come on, you come down here and stand beside us and have a look what we do, and then go in and stand in beside these robots in the grandstand and see what their business is like." They wouldn't know, but one day some smart fellow will come along and he'll jerry and say, "Well, look, this is not really fair. These robots, they shouldn't be up. They should have to be." I've said it before. What should happen is whoever's the top holder on the fence, he should have first privilege of having an agency in the grandstand, and of course his board linked to his stand on the rails. And if they want to have 10 agents, 10 bookies throughout the grandstands, these clubs, they all, from the top holder down to the 10th holder, they should be able to find their position and then go from there, but all linked. If anybody wants to, and have the screens with the best flucked on it, if the bookie isn't betting in the grandstand, his agency, the same price as the best flucked, he might be overloaded in the main ring with it. Well, the punter in the grandstand can ask, and I'd say he would be obliged. The bookie would accommodate him and bet him whatever on the screen. But you can always beat, as we know, down on the screen. And it's a very, very unfair situation, because there are no punters besides the 4 or 5 pros in the main ring and the retired Greek card players who follow them and won't have a bet until they do, betting with us all the time. And it's becoming absurd. In this first race today, there was 105 on the screen, but only 97% in the marketplace. And this race was won by Stamina. Well, you wouldn't see it, but of course the fluctuations, I think the best price might be $6, or it could be $6.50, I'm not too sure, but there was $7 given in the marketplace. It did start 3 to 1. It was 6s to 3s, extremely well backed. It was a very, very bad result for most captains. I bet you the robots, every time it went off, they're just sitting up there reading the magazine or paper and whatever they're doing, and it goes. They just never go. They just don't get caught, do they? They're protected species. If they They wouldn't last two. They wouldn't last. Well, they wouldn't last 2 meetings in the main ring. Um, and this runner Stamina, it missed the kick and copped a little bit of a check at the start and settled down in third last position. But luckily, it found the fence. It led bull point and got off the fence, allowing Savvy Nature from barrier 1 to get up inside it, but was a little bit crowded for room apparently, and slightly held up turning for home. But the winner slid 3, was third last on the fence, but 3 back on the fence, and then got a split towards the end of the race and nosed out ball point right on the line. And Savvy Nature had, I suppose, more or less every chance. Now that we know that the track was a huge advantage on the fence, I suppose having its chance, and it was only beaten. It was 0.1 by 0.6. The runner that got trapped wide all the way and ran beaten 9.7 lengths. So forget its run. They said it was lethargic after the race. Was 1 step beyond. The track was dynamite towards the fence. It was wide 1 step beyond. As I say, we only got 97%, and there was here, for instance, Happy Clapper. Now, Happy Clapper, it ran a fair race. It came from second last on the outside. It was only beaten 1.2 lengths coming down the outside of the track, which was a very hard thing to do. No runner did it all day, and but the SP was $4.80. No, the best the SP was $5, 4 to 1, and that was the top fluck. I was $6 when they jumped. There was a mile of 5.50, and you couldn't crack it for a lemon to a brick. They said they were going to ride it back with cover, and they did. That wasn't the right move. Race 2, they said there was 107.4 on the screen, 103.5 in the marketplace. Who won this race? Sweet Talkin' Woman. It was backed. It was $14 into $12. Very hard to get. Where did it sit? It led on the fence Blurred Vision. It's being retired after today. It ran last, beaten 16 odd lengths, and having the track bias in its favour. I can understand why. It sat on its outside, Tenby Lady, the favourite. Yes, it was the favourite, the $4.60 favourite, and of course the winner, Sweet Talkin' Woman, who had barrier 9 in a field of 11. It happened to find the fence directly behind the leader. When they swung for home, it had that cosy suck along the fence all the way. It eased around their heels, getting around Tenby Lady, got clear and held on by 1.8 lengths, beating who was sitting in 6th position, Urban Rocker, a 20 to 1 chance by 1.8 lengths, as I say, and the favourite, it held on to 3rd, Tenby Lady. It was off the fence, but I suppose it was a bit disappointing. There was a runner in this race, Emperor Select. It didn't more or less have a price. It went from $4.20 out to $6, Emperor Select. And where did it sit? It sat back past midfield, and of course it only got beat 3.4 lengths, and it was tried to come down the outside, which was a bit difficult. It got trapped wide in the run, the bottom one, and ran accordingly. You couldn't be wide today. You had to be, repeating myself, on the fence. That's about all I would say in that race. There was another runner, Alinia, which was well in the market. We put it up a 7 to 2 chance, and it got out to $7 towards the end of betting. It was 7 to 2 to 6s. The winner got the Charm Run, which won at the race. Race 3, they said there was 104.1 on the screen, 3 less in the marketplace, and as I say, this was the only runner all day not to be on the fence. Prince Cherie, she sat outside, well, Samui Lad, after it finally got to the lead, around Havana Ray, who Havana Ray finished up running last, beaten 7.2. So it's most probably not its not its well, nowhere as good as it used to be, Havana Ray. And Prince Reece sat on the south side, got past Samui lad, got past it after straightening, and established a good little break, and was able to hold on and beat the two runners who came from last and third last, and they were, or second last and last, and they were Eaglestein, the favourite, who was near the fence, eased from an outside alley to find the fence, and then ran between runners after straightening, beaten the 1.8, and it was slightly held up Eaglestein, but had not nowhere as bad. Not that it was held up really bad. The third horse, I'm Imposing, but he lost all of his momentum turning for home, and when eased off heels by the Pumper Cassidy, there was nowhere to go through the high diddle, so he had to come to the outside, and this horse made up a lot of ground, only beaten 2 lengths. A very good run for a 60 to 1 chance. $71 given, into 50 at one stage, back out to start $60. The favourite Eaglestein, extremely well backed, was $3 out to $3.50, into $2.90 towards all. $3 when they jumped. You could still get the twos. And of course, we all saw the other runner in this race that just, well, it never took part, and that was Kingdoms, who was last on the fence, turning for home, with Eaglestein on its outside, or maybe just in front of it, and I'm Imposing on its outside. And of course, he stayed near the fence and just eased off heels, trying to get a run. T. Clark on Kingdoms, but every time he went for a run, there was nowhere to go, and he virtually took no part. It was backed at one stage at $8. After opening 6, got out to 8, back into 7, but back out to $8 when they jumped. And as I say, we only had about 101, with a lot of runners not having a price. And the winner, by the same token, I would say it was a good result for the captains, because it was very easy in the market. They said the top fluck was $5. A blind man would have been able to get $5.50, and they said the SP was $4.80. Well, you could get plenty of $5.50 when they jumped. Race 4 was won by Dana's Best. It's that blue label I told you last. Funny thing, a bloke asked me during the week. He said, "Did Putin?" I said, "Of course." He said, "Of course, he's a subject for the punt. He's a subject." I call him. His nickname's Pooty. He said, "What's it called?" He said, "Grey Goose." I said, "No, it's not. It's called Blue Pooty. It's his own. He has it made especially for him." But by the same token, I have pulled him up, and I said, "Now listen, you know, when I have been tipping you plenty of winners lately, and it's no good sending me down bucketfuls of this of Pooty Blue Label, whatever you call it." I said, "You'll have to send some section down." I said, "I know you've got plenty." He said, "What section?" I said, "Section is moolah." "Oh," he said, "moolah. Oh, yes. I said, "Rip one of those gold tiles off the Kremlin and send that down," or something. I said, "You're betting in billions." So they don't bet. They bet on. I think they bet between themselves. But they get bored up there in the southern hemisphere. They've had a very, very hot summer, and of course in the middle of the night there, when it's stinking hot, it's been stinking hot. They turn on the races. They turn on the and the Australian races are going around. He said, funny, he said to me the other day, he said, "Geez," he said, "how?" He said that they jump at the dogs, and the trots are on at the same time, and then the horses are on the same time, and there's 1,000 meetings on. He said, "What are they trying to do?" They tried to send the Grumble and Grunners broke. I told him that Grumble and Grunners. I said, of course they are. He said, that's the quickest way to do it, you know. He said, get them to bet on something. As soon as they cross the line at a dog or a trot or a horse race, have another one jumping within 5 seconds of that straight away. He said, you'll send them as clean stone brokers. I said, that's their aim. They're trying to do it. They're looking to put more meetings on. They've got to have 5 television stations down here to broadcast the races. Anyway, this race that was won by race 4 was won by Dana's Best. Fairnicum, you think that I had a terrible result on this race, and he rode it perfectly. Horseman Huey Bowman. Going straight to the front was Agent Bauer, so its run was flattered. Sitting on its outside, looking at it all the way, was Above All. They didn't go hard, and Bowman just let the two of those run along, and he was a good 4, maybe 5 lengths behind them at one stage. Then there was another good break to Diamond Jim and Shenian on the fence inside it, and Shenian most probably cost the second horse the race, although the second horse, of course, was on the fence. And I'm talking about Ghost Protocol from Barrier 1. But coming around about to the 800 or 900 metre mark, when they just start to quicken a little bit, Shenian, it couldn't quicken, and Ghost Protocol, it just lost its momentum at a vital stage, and that was the difference between winning and losing. And when it did get finally past Shenian, of course the bird had flown. The 2 leaders were still going all right, especially the leader, Agent Bauer, and Bowman had him in his sights all the way on the favourite Dana's Best, and he was able to hold on and beat Ghost Protocol, and ran along the fence by 0.8 of a length, and the leader was beat 1.1 lengths away in third hole. The winner, we put it up, well, for a start in this race, 105.7 they said on the screen for the robots, never going off the right odds, but only 99% in the marketplace, and the winner was sensationally backed. We put it up $4, 3 to 1 the field, and the punter said, no, we won't take it. Got to $4.60. It did start $3.20. How much to at $3.30 and $3.40 to win towards the end of betting. It started $3.20, hard to get. And as I say, he was on the fence looking at the 2 leaders all the way, had them in his sights, perfectly rated, and it got the cash. A very bad result for the captains. And that was about all I'd say there. Another runner on the fence. Winner. Race 5, 103.7 on the screen. 97% only in the marketplace. There were a few prizes here that you wouldn't see on the screen. And who won this race? Oh, it was won by a horse called Bobbin. Mr. Waller, he had 2 runners in this race. One of them was Vel Rosso. Well, it was completely unsuited by the way the track was playing. It said it was obviously going to be back in the field. That's the way that runner races, and it settled back in 3rd last position with Jay Kissick, the 3 kilo boy on board today, whereas the stablemate, Bobbin from Barrier 1, it sat directly behind D&G, who went straight to the lead. It finished up running 3rd, but its run was flattered, obviously because of the bias. On its outside of D&G was Lily Bolero, the Avery, and she stuck on all right, but no match for the winner. But by the same token, the winner had Barrier 1 and the bias in his favour. 3rd on the fence, and outside it was Harmonic in 4th position, and they turned. He pulled a little bit at one stage, Bobbin on Father Schofield, but he was able to settle it, and then it got the sweet run and just got around. There was plenty of room. Got around the leaders' heels, D&G, and got between it and Lily Bolero, and got clear and won by 1.5 lengths. Lily Bolero running second, as I say, and the leader running third. Forget Vel Rosso's run because of the track bias. The fluctuations in this race, Single was 30 out to 70. Keith's Legacy was 19 out to 41. Vel Rosso was $4 out to $5 into $4.80 out to $5.50, which you wouldn't see, but started 5. Choice Bro, they said it's got a trial and they're going to put a tongue tie on it, and it was very disappointing. Why wouldn't it be disappointing? Fancy him having to trial it again when the track bias was so bad. If it would have sat out there, the winner, it would have got beaten easily as well. That's the reason it ran last, beaten 15.3 lengths. Choice Bro, because it sat 3 wide in the run all of the way. And it was $11 out to $19, didn't have a price. D&G was only $9 out to 12. Proverb was 12 out to 15. Bobbin, as I told, was $4.80 out to $6. Bobbin on the rails, $6. Started $3.60, extremely well backed. Lily Bolero, $3.70 out to $4 into start, $3.30. Favourite, Avery. And Harmonic, 9 out to 11, back into 9.5. And Twisted Emotions, 16 to a pony, back into $17. The winner got the charm run and won as the run suggested. Race 6. Just before I say a few words about this race, the protest that day we had at Warwick Farm, where the runner Strike Me Lucky was first past the post, and I just forget the name of the horse that the protest was upheld. Of course, those stewards said that after they turned for home, the winner had established a run inside of in between the leader and Strike Me Lucky, was on its outside, and Strike Me Lucky came in and said, no, you can't come through here. And we all know that the second horse, without copying the check, should have won very easily. But I don't know whether there was a run there or not. The steward said there was, but if they say there were, they've got different angles. Maybe there was a run, but I can't work out how this protest, when Sidestep ran 4th last start, when it was getting up inside. It was ridden by, of course, the two Berry. It was ridden by one of the Berry boys, and Nathan was on the winner, I think, and Tommy on the other. And of course, if it hadn't established a run Sidestep inside the horse that ran third, I think it's a horse, Windjammer, I'm going blind. I thought Sidestep had established a run inside it for sure. I thought the protest, if they held up the one at Warwick Farm was upheld, this one was 100 to 1 on to be upheld. But no. I know. We all, look. All it is whether they're right or wrong. It's only their opinion, and they're the people who make the decision. But just because they make the decision, they say it's upheld or dismissed, that doesn't mean they're right, and they'll agree with that. And I think this occasion, if the one, as I say, repeating myself, at Warwick Farm was upheld, this one had to be upheld. But anyway, we saw the bias kick in here, which gave the captains. This was the run, one of the run to the Rose heats, which is on in a couple of weeks, and of course the bias wasn't at Savage here. We saw first and third suck up along the fence. The leader, which won last start, their Pianciero, it went straight to the lead, ridden by Nathan Berry, Neat Nathan Berry. And as I told you, the Berry's mother, their mother, said there's not a struck match between either of these boys. They all reckon Tommy Terrific's the better rider. The mother said, no way. She said there's not an inch between them, and it all depends who's on the day. Well, the Neat Nathan, he took this straight to the lead, which is a huge advantage, and it held on to win by 0.2 of a length. It sat one off the fence and was held up slightly, but more or less having his chance was Dissident, and sliding and directly behind the leader on the fence and running third was the 50-1 chance Marcel Roulette, and it was beaten 1 length. It got poleaxed in the run Sidestep, but by the same token was very disappointing, but the track came into play there. Eurozone, it was up near the lead, but 3 wide, so its chances were made a lot harder. Zoostar, after missing the kick and copping a bit of a check at the start, it was 3 wide, and outside it, 4 wide was Napashini. So how was it going to run? So all of those horses' runs were better than they looked. The winner got the advantage of the fence, which was the deciding factor here. On the screen, they said there was 110, but in the marketplace, 7% less, only 103. And as I say, there were quite a few runners backed in this race without, I think the best luck Sidestep was only $5, but there was a mile of $5.50. Criterion, $17. Zoostar, $9 given, you wouldn't see that. The winner was 26 out to 31, a skinner for the books. Dissident was always $10, or $9 out to $10. 30 out to 50, the third horse, Marcel Roulette. Windjammer backed 19 into 15. Equator 19 into 17. Into the red, well backed, $26 into 14. Napashini 12 out to 13. Cluster 12 out to 16. Ike's Legacy 8.5 or $9 out to $16. And Spurendus always about 101. Run the track we were playing with no bias on it. Of course, you wouldn't know what would have won this race, but as it turned out, the winner found the lead in the fence, and that was the deciding factor. Race 7, they said there was 110.1 on the screen, only 102 in the marketplace. Oh, you can drink bucketfuls of this stuff. That Putin, I don't know. Pewty, I mean. Section, yeah, that's it. Now, race 7 was won by, of course, Christy Lee. Old Muggins here, I went $11 towards the end of betting. So how would Christy Lee win? How would Christy Lee win? It won all right because it sat 1, 2, 3, 4 back on the fence and never left it and got through on the fence, which was like cutting across the middle, and it won by 0.2 of a length. And I went $11 towards the end of betting and bet someone 6,600. What a mug I am. Now, it led in this race Just a Girl. It finished up running third. It's not very strong. That bias kicked in and only got beat 0.4 of a length. Who was behind Just a Girl on the fence and should have stayed there, but it did hang out under pressure in the straight, which cost it the race, but was got the soft run on the fence, was Blazing Schnitzel with the 3 kilo girl W Constant. She's not a bad little rider, but it hung under pressure with her, and she's not totally there yet. And it hanging under pressure in the straight costed victory. It was only beaten to 0.2, coming from midfield, out a bit wide, which wasn't the right place to be, was the Avery Brave Soul. We put it up 350. Now they said the best luck was $4. I was 420. Couldn't lay it at the end of betting, and in the 1-1 position and running fourth was Words Weapons, but it was one off the fence, but never got beat far. It was only beaten. It ran fourth, only beaten a length, Brave Soul, and it was 1.2 lengths away. Words of Weapons. The winner straight along the fence, which obviously was the deciding factor in winning this race. If it would have had to have come around one runner, it doesn't win. Or if it drew an outside alley and was back and a little bit wide, it most probably wouldn't have got sighted. But the bias kicked in, and of course it won. It was very evident. It was a bit hard to lay, as I say, Brave Soul, 350 out to 420. Just a Girl was $8.50 out to 12. Just a, it was Cosmic was 50 out to 60. Lucky Largo, 6 out to $8.50 back into 8. Birds and Bells, 16 to 26 back into 20. Gold Epona, 26 to 51 back to 41. Words of Weapon was $10 into $8, $9 it was. XLT Qua was 26 out to 61. Breakfast in Bed, Like a Fool, I gave $8, started $5.50. Blazing Schnitzel was back, $13 into 11. Misspoken didn't have a price, 30 out to 80. Southern Girl, $13 into $10. Hard to get. And Christy Lee, $8.50 out to 11. Me, Like a Fool, starting $10. We got to the last race, and again, evident the bias. The winner was Less is More. Top Fluck, $3.80. And SP was $4 begging at the finish. You couldn't give it away. It was a result from the captains. It was $3.50 out to $4. And it led in this race, Winning Glory as expected. So, and it ran third, beaten 1.2, but had the bias in its favour. Darcy Be Good had barrier 1, every possible chance. It ran fifth, sat behind it on the fence. Who was third behind 3 back on the fence? It happened to be Less is More from barrier 8. He found the fence, and who was on its back, also sliding along the fence, 4 back on the fence? It happened to be the 60 to 1 chance, Ironstein, who followed the winner all the way and only failed by 0.2 of a length. Again, emphasising how dynamite the fence was. As I say, it led Winning Glory on its outside. Michelangelo, the import trained by Gay, it was $26 into, I was $15 when they jumped. It wouldn't have cut across the middle and won. And similar, another runner in this race wouldn't have cut. It wouldn't have. It could have. It would have let it go at the top of the straight. It wouldn't have run a place. Lumiere, they jumped out the barriers, and all of a sudden it was 4 or 5 lengths behind the second last runner. It was on the fence all the way. It never made up an inch. It was beaten 14.7 lengths. It ran like it had its legs tied together. It's got a trial before it races again, and the connection's saying we're going to be more aggressive next start. Oh, I see. Going back to the flux, Michelangelo was 26 into 15. Darcy Be Good was $13 into $10. Honorius, it looked like it didn't have a price at one stage. We said we'll find a customer for it. $3.50 to $5.50, back into $4.80, back to $5 at the death. Einstein would have been a big result for the captains. Skinner from the books, it would have been. Einstein, 30 out to 60. Grey Assignment, well backed, I think because of the alley, 16 into 13. Lumiere was $7.50 out to $8.50. Winning Glory, 16 into 14. Less is More, hard to lay, 350 out to 4. Loaded, 14 out to 17. Pretty Pins, found the line strongly, Pretty Pins, 26 out to 41. Uriel copped a very bad check at the start and was also had to avoid heels. It found the line as strong as any, or if not stronger than any other runner, making up plenty of ground. It finished up running 4th in this race, beaten about 1.6 lengths. If the track were fair, I have to say, and it wouldn't have copped the check at the start, it would have just about won. Uriel, it was 26. Uriel was 16 out to 21, and Hathras, who unfortunately when Greyer Simon, ridden by jovial Josh Parr, eased off the fence after hitting the first bend. He put the pumper 3 wide on Hathras, and it was $16, which you wouldn't see, into $10, and it's the runner that sat 3 wide all the way, and it was only beaten 3.9 lengths. So its run was obviously a lot better, and a lot better than it ran last start when resuming at Randwick on the heavy track. So it might improve Hathras. But the winner, as I say, and the second horse and the third horse, all fenced up. That was about the meeting. The track was on fire, the fence, because of the position the rail was in. So if you were wire netting, as our good mate and colleague Mo Conlon who would say, Mo is 83 years of age. He is our oldest captain. He's in. I think he's back home now. So Mo, if you happen to watch, I hope you improve, and we can't wait to see you get back to the track, and I hope everything is going all right. You are a marvel, Mo Conlon. Good evening.